Hello, a very warm welcome to Fireside Chats. My name is Magela Pillai, and I have here in the studio with me Sister Denise, an experienced practitioner of Rajyoga Meditation for a few decades. Today's topic is entitled, Your Mistake is My Mistake. Now, if this sounds a bit odd to you, you are not alone. It's news to me as well, and I can't wait to hear what our speaker has to say on this subject. In this series, we look at a variety of subjects surrounding spirituality. We also ask you to keep an open mind and to ask your heart what your relationship with God is and whether you would like to deepen and make this relationship with the divine more beautiful and more meaningful. Sister Denise, a very warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
Your mistake is my mistake. Where on earth does that expression come from? And here's the thing. I make enough of my own mistakes. Why would I want to take on someone else's?
You know what's very common for many people? Looking good. I want to look good. And so what that does, and many people have this, is it makes a person want to diminish, minimize, or completely hide, or maybe even deny whenever they make a mistake. Conversely, if somebody else makes a mistake, they'll pounce on it. You look bad, I'm good, you're bad. It's a kind of exaggeration of the comparison of I'm okay, you're not okay. And because this is so widespread and very common, it has been felt quite worthwhile to look at this and make people realize that, you know, this mistake that this other person did, it could just as easily have been you, just as easily. So if you say to yourself, well, that mistake that I'm having the sanskar, the feeling, the tendency to highlight so that I look good, instead of doing that, tell yourself that is my mistake. Now, if that had actually been my mistake, would I be highlighting it like that? Or would I be, you know, diminishing it as I would if it really were my mistake?
Mm-hmm.
Many people, they find it very hard to admit their mistakes. In some cultures, to admit your mistake is to lose face. And losing face is the biggest horrific situation that can ever happen to that person. And losing face occurs when your mistake is exposed. You lose face. So are you who doesn't want to lose face, who doesn't want your mistakes exposed? You're quite happy to expose the mistake of somebody else and make them feel really bad. So it's more like, not a truth that your mistake is my mistake, but it's a device that is taught to get people to think about the other person that they're so eager and so quick to blame.
This expression, the very expression of your mistake is my mistake, is so incredibly kind and, well, benevolent. And very few people are that kind and that benevolent, because, you know, you have enough of your own mistakes that you're struggling to deal with, whether you hide from them or not. Now, it requires energy to accept someone else's mistakes as your own. Where do you get such energy from?
I think that is really love.
Of?
Love.
Of what?
Love of the other person. If you love someone, you want to make them look good. You want to take care of their reputation. I don't think you want to cover up their mistake. But if somebody has really made a serious mistake, one thing is point the finger, blame the person, you look good in comparison, etc. But instead of doing that, consider that not it's sort of you against me in this world, but we're both on the same side of the table. You are my colleague, you are my family member. What do I want is, first of all, I want the relationship to be good, to remain good, to not get spoiled. And if I make you feel bad, it's going to distance us. I love you because you are my fellow human being. You made a mistake because you're weak, not because you're bad, you know. I could just as easily have made that same mistake, and if I look into my history, I can probably find a few instances where I did exactly the same thing in the same situation. So it's really a way of saying, you know, who am I to point the finger at you? You know, it sort of makes one aware that it's not really fair. It makes one think a little bit more deeply than the immediate superficial situation. And I think what it also does is it puts greater importance on the relationship than the specific incident. Because sometimes people can use a specific incident to kind of take revenge or take out their jealousy or something like this, which is really nothing to do with that particular issue, but that will be used as an excuse for something else, you know. So when you hear an expression like, your mistake is my mistake, or it becomes the subject of a spiritual class, your mistake is my mistake, then you're asking people to think about something that they normally think the opposite, or they don't think at all. And people are so quick to blame that unless you find a way to really make a person think about this, you see, we criticize each other easily. Part of body consciousness, part of conventional morality is if you can find fault in another person, that's somehow good. What this does is it says, you know, finding fault in other people, what's so great about that? What you want to do is find the qualities in another person. And so if you can make it seem that their mistake is something that anyone could have done, then it encourages mercy, it encourages a willingness to let go of that, and it also, I think, encourages that person to say, yeah, no, it really was my mistake, and I'm very sorry about it, and I won't do it again. But you're not, you know, putting them on the defensive. So I think overall it's actually quite a good and quite a deep lesson for someone to consider. I think what it's all about is the person who is wanting to condemn, you know, and people are quite condemnatory in their mentality. Have you found that?
Didn't realize it was a word, but I understood exactly what you said. Yes.
Yeah, you are quick to condemn. You maybe not try and look at the evidence or mitigating circumstances or whatever. So, you know, as I said before, when you use the expression, your mistake is my mistake, you're not talking about a fact, you're talking about an attitude. So I have an attitude that if you make a mistake, and I'm going to take the attitude, your mistake is my mistake. Why would I do that? Is so that I take a good solid look at my rapid feeling to condemn you and hold it in check, you see. So it's really all about not the person who's made the mistake, but the person who wants to condemn it.
That's big to do that and to be like that. It's big.
Well, that's a spiritual practice.
Right. Okay. For me, Sister Denise, it'll take more than a curve of the hand. I like this gesture, by the way. Okay. So, how do you grow to that benevolent state? There are very few people on earth who are like you just described. Very few, because it's a magnificent way of being, but it's way up there, and most of us have our own lives to contend with, and so to grow to that height is a bit of a stretch, but it's big and very noble.
Well, this is the thing. This is what you want to be as a Raj Yogi. You want to develop the capacity for magnanimity. And that's a way to do that.
That's magnanimous with a few extra alphabets, by the way. Okay, magnanimity, yes.
So it's a sign of a great soul if they're magnanimous. Magnanimous means you have a big spirit, generous spirit, generosity of heart. A person who's generous, that's a great person. What do you want to be? Do you want to be great? If you're not great, do you want to become great? Do you want to find your greatness? If you hear this expression, your mistake is my mistake, and you say, okay, well now, how would it be if I would be like that? You have to kind of roll it around in your mind and think, you know, can I be like that? And unless you've heard about it, unless it's a teaching that you consider, you can never even rise to that level, you see. So, you know, teachings are also suggestions. Can you be at this level? Can you be a person of magnanimity? Think about it. Strive for it. If you want to be, you know, a great person, this is a very good way to do that. And there are going to be moments in your experience of life where somebody does make a mistake which you could easily condemn and, you know, condemn them out of sight. But if you, instead of that, do an act of magnanimity, you know, that goes a very, very long way to, you know, make the world a better place. So that is, I think, an important thing to consider.
From what you said in past episodes, it's our ego that causes us, well, our own trouble. It's also our ego that causes us, or gives us the feeling of being entitled to judge our fellow human beings.
Yeah.
Okay? And you are saying in this context that it doesn't serve you to be so. Okay? How do you neutralize your ego? Say you want to grow to this level that you just described. How do you neutralize your ego within this context?
Perhaps it's a process, and you will decide, okay, what I'm going to do for the next couple of years is practice this. Your mistake is my mistake. Give yourself a long period of time. And there'll be moments every few days, every few weeks where it comes up. And then you have an opportunity to see how your skill is in responding in a way of magnanimity rather than being someone who just condemns, someone who just judges, because to condemn, to judge is a kind of hatred, and to be magnanimous is a kind of love. So what do you want to be? Do you want to hate, or do you want to love? So if you want to practice this over a long period of time, it will make you come in front of yourself as am I loving, or do I rather hate? You know, and you have to judge yourself which is much more useful in the long term than judging somebody else.
Sure. That's bigger than what you said earlier. Okay, so Sister Denise, I've heard within spiritual circles this expression that that you can't find something in another human being until you have some percentage of it in yourself. Yeah.
Well, they say that, and it may well be true.
The journey of becoming this person that doesn't condemn his fellow human beings and is not too harsh in his assessment of his the mistakes of his brothers and sisters. Once you become that, or will you be happier? Will you be more noble? What's in it for you? The non-condemner, the non-judger. What's in it for you? Do you have anything to gain?
What happens is you reach a state of greatness, and when you reach a state of greatness, the caliber of person that you are is seen to be greater. So the circumstances are going to, I think, offer you opportunities and kind of carry you forward in a sense in your status as a person. You know, Raj Yoga is all about achieving the status, you know, the highest possible status, a king, you know. That means the royalty, the nobility, the magnanimity is absolutely part of that. And if you don't have that, then you're relatively ordinary.
Sister Denise, the highest possible status by whose standards?
You know, in terms of what is considered the activity of God, it's always called a kingdom of heaven. You don't have the Republic of Heaven.
Oh, that is so funny and so priceless, the Republic of Heaven. Yeah, I must say, one didn't actually consider the politics of heaven, no.
But in ancient times, it's set up in terms of kingdoms. And because power was abused, the system of governance was shifted. But if you are able to hold power and use it benevolently, then a kingdom may be okay in your hands, because you're not going to be a tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than tyranny. You don't have to have a kingdom to be a tyrant. You can be, you know, a military junta, and you can have a tyranny there. You can achieve power through the democratic process and apply tyranny, but it is a system of governance which is intended to prevent tyranny, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be abused. You know, the interaction, the relationship between people, that means society, that means ultimately governance. What is the best form of governance is those who are leaders, who are able to really take care of the people, of the economies, of the land, of the arts, of the everything, to make that place a place of freedom, ease, happiness, joy, comfort, beauty. You know, that is really, I think, what God intends for the people of the world. And if we can make ourselves like that, then that's a step in the right direction.
Sister Denise, you shared earlier that this noble attitude of, you know, your mistake is my mistake, is an attitudinal transformation. But attitude is not all that we are about. It's just part of internal functioning. There's thoughts, And this question that I have for you now revolves around feelings. How do you come to terms with any negative feeling? Say if a person's mistake shocked you, angered you, hurt you. How do you come to terms with the feelings? Because your feelings are very real to you.
Put it this way. If you are a powerful soul, you won't be shocked or angered or any of that. Those emotions only occur in weak souls.
Okay, now that's a bomb of a reaction. Sorry, that's a bomb of an answer. Shock, anger, and?
Any of the other similar reactions, that is a sign of a weak soul. If you are a powerful soul, you'll be able to manage it without getting shocked, angered, or whatever. You'll be able to process the information that you're getting.
So, in this context, what you were saying is, a yogi is here and their feelings are here. So before you feel your no, you're not saying that.
No.
You're not. What are you saying?
What you're saying is feelings are real.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is feelings are dependent on how strong or weak you are.
Whether you're strong or weak, you still have feelings.
If you are strong, that if the soul is strong, the feelings you have will be higher feelings.
Okay.
Right? If you are weak, you easily be shocked, easily be angered, easily have all of these feelings that you talked about. These are the signs of weak souls.
Okay, so part and parcel of your spiritual quest is to make the soul strong.
Yes.
Okay, so apart from being an attitudinal change, you want to bring your feelings to a level that's more noble. And no, okay.
It's not that your feelings are not things in and of themselves. Your feelings are indicators of whether you're strong or weak.
So you can use your reaction to anything or anyone to gauge where you're at.
Yes. Exactly.
If I make the decision to not be so condemning of my fellow man, and if I see somebody committing a incy-wincy little transgression and find myself starting to judge them, how do I intervene to stop myself from going down that path? Tell me your thought processes.
Okay, you see somebody doing something wrong. It activates your condemning sanskara.
Yeah, your reactionary traits.
Yes, your condemning sanskar. So then in your intellect is where you keep this thought, your mistake is my mistake. So you have to activate that and say, self, you're ready to condemn this person, but that could easily be you in the same circumstances, so don't be so fast to condemn. You have to bring yourself back from that.
So your self-talk has got to be powerful, more powerful than your reaction. I see. And then this will be a continual journey every time someone makes a mistake. Sister Denise, the law of karma, explain how that comes into play here. It must fit in somewhere.
The law of karma is that when you restrain yourself from doing something wrong, that is a very positive karma.
Okay.
Much more positive than, you think, this person is bad, so I'm condemning this person. You think that's a good karma. That's not a good karma.
What is the return of that as far as your karma is concerned, of not condemning?
That you are going to be rewarded by a greater ease of achieving the stage of magnanimity.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Sister Denise, we have to say goodbye to you right now. Sister Denise has shared how benevolent it is. Well, benevolent was my word. She used the word magnanimous a few times. But if you find yourself in the position one day, it could be today or it could be tomorrow, where you're pointing a finger at somebody and looking at their mistake, ask yourself, this is the message from Sister Denise, ask yourself whether it could have been a mistake that you could have committed. And if so, you can teach yourself not to, if that's the person that you would like to become. And Sister Denise has shared that it is a very noble endeavor, and this is the personality that God wants us to have. And I do agree, the world will be a much better place if more people were less condemning of the errors of others. So with these thoughts, I would say goodbye to you, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you for joining us, and good day to you.